Yo, what is going on, Raider Nation? It's your boy Simone Raider back at it again with another episode of Nation News. And on this episode, the Raiders brought back the GOAT for another year. On top of that, I'm gonna be giving you guys some of the top trade packages, potential trade packages that the Raiders could get for Derek Carr. And last but not least, I'm gonna be talking about the possibility of the Raiders maybe being interested in getting T.Y. Hilton and bringing him onto this team in 2021. All of that on this episode of Nation News. But before I get started with this video, I want to give a huge shout out to my product sponsors, One Nation Fanwear. As you guys can see, I'm rocking them right now. I got the Raiders for Life t-shirt on deck, and right here you guys can see the Tecmo Bowl cap. And if you guys want to get your own Nation gear just like this, head over to onenationfanwear.com and don't forget to use my promo code SR to get free shipping and handling on your order. Now with all of that out of the way, let's get started with your Nation News.
And you tell them one thing, just win, baby.
Before I get started, don't forget to hit that like and that subscribe button if you haven't already. Now, first up on some Nation News, the Raiders have went out and signed the GOAT, Nathan Peterman, to a one-year extension. Now, what does this mean for Marcus Mariota? Heck, even Derek Carr. As for Mariota, the Raiders have a big decision to make this offseason because my cousin Marcus Mariota is going to make $11 million going into next season if the Raiders do not cut or trade him away. As much as I want Mariota back on this team, it's going to be a tough decision. It's a lot of money for a backup quarterback, but he is the best backup quarterback in the league. And we've seen last year when we played the Chargers, when Derek Carr went out, we had no problem with Marcus Mariota stepping in and being that starter. Now, as for Derek Carr, even though the team said that they are going to go with Derek Carr going into 2021, and they announced that before our last game of the season last year, there has been a lot of teams that are interested in Derek Carr and are making some offers to acquire our quarterback. Now, I don't know if the Raiders would actually pull the trigger and trade away Derek Carr, but like the $1 Million Man once said, everybody's got a price. And if the Raiders get offered the right price, I think the Raiders might actually do it. But I'll get back to this subject on the next segment. Now, this is going to be Nathan Peterman's fourth year in the silver and black. It's crazy how he hasn't really played much snaps, but he's still here with the Raiders. Now, most of that is because Jon Gruden has came forward and said that he really likes Nathan Peterman. I mean, who doesn't? He's the GOAT. But I feel like this is a project that Gruden wants to take on because somehow, some way, he wants to resurrect Nathan Peterman's career, especially after that one season when he threw 8 interceptions, or I don't know what, 100 interceptions in one quarter, one half. I believe if anybody can resurrect his career, it could be Jon Gruden. Now, as of right now, the Raiders have 4 quarterbacks on the roster: Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota, the GOAT, and Kyle Slaughter.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Now, I'm 100% sure that the Raiders are not going to be keeping 4 quarterbacks on the roster, so somebody's got to go. The question is, who? But this is good news for the team because if you got the GOAT on your team, you got to do everything that you can to keep him, and the Raiders did just that. Now, since we're talking about quarterbacks, let's talk about number 4 and the potential trade packages that the Raiders could get for Derek Carr. Now, I took this article from Bleacher Report and I read the article and I seen the different trade packages that we could get for Derek Carr, which was intriguing to me. And I was like, you know what? Let me share this with the Raider Nation and see what you guys think about all these trade scenarios and whether you guys would pull the trigger or stay put with Derek Carr. Now, before I go forward with the trade scenarios, there are other quarterbacks that might be on the open market that teams might put on the open market, not named Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson will cost a lot to bring over to anybody's team. I don't think it would take 2 first-round picks. It would take more than that, especially because Matthew Stafford got 2 first-round picks and Jared Goff. Other quarterbacks on the market are Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins, and Carson Wentz. Those 3 quarterbacks are not better than Derek Carr, so Derek Carr would be the second best quarterback in the open market if the Raiders were to deal him. Not saying that they are, but he is the best quarterback. Now, getting back to the trade scenarios, the first team I'm going to talk about is the Houston Texans, and this is what the trade scenario would look like. The Raiders would trade away Derek Carr, the 17th overall pick in this year's draft, the 2022 first-round pick, and a 2022 second-round pick. Now, that's 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and Derek Carr for Deshaun Watson. Now, I know a lot of people want to get Deshaun Watson. Me, I like Deshaun Watson. If we could get him, if we did get him, I guess I would roll with it, but I wouldn't want to trade too much of our assets to go get him. Derek Carr is just fine, but what do you guys think about that trade? That trade actually sounds better than some of the trades that I've heard over the time, you know, giving away 4 first-round picks, Darren Waller, so on and so forth. This is only giving up 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick and Derek Carr for Deshaun Watson. The next team is the Chicago Bears. Now, we know the Chicago Bears are no strangers to trading with the Raiders because they got our last Raiders star and Khalil Mack for 2 first-round picks. Now, this trade will go down like this. The Raiders will get the 20th overall pick in this year's draft and their first-round pick in the 2022 draft, and they will receive Derek Carr and a 3rd-round pick. Now, I don't really like this pick because we would give away Derek Carr and a 3rd-round pick for 2 first-round picks from the Bears. But then again, that's 2 first-round picks for Derek Carr. The next team on the list is the Indianapolis Colts. Now, this is a Colts team that took Phillip Rivers into the playoffs, and they had a run at the end of the season. Now, trust me, if you switch Phillip Rivers and Derek Carr on that team with that defense, whoo-wee, I don't know, man. They would probably be in the Super Bowl right now, but you know what? That's just me. The Raiders will give up Derek Carr. In return, they will get the 21st overall pick in this year's draft and a 2022 first-round pick. Again, this will be 2 first-round picks for just Derek Carr, which this is a solid trade. I mean, this is a pretty solid trade, and it will help both teams out. Now, it's not my favorite trade because my favorite and most interesting trade is the next team that I have on the list, which is the Washington football team. Again, another team that made the playoffs with Alex Smith at quarterback. And they have a guy named Hennessy. I don't know his name, but he did pretty good last year as well. Now, this is the trade that would go down. The Raiders will give up Derek Carr. In return, they would get the 19th overall pick, the 3rd-round pick in this year's draft, and a 1st-round pick in next year's draft. Now, this would be my favorite scenario out of all these picks because the Raiders would get a 1st and a 3rd this year and a 1st next year just for Derek Carr. That's a solid trade. We could go and get an offensive weapon or offensive player in this year's draft in the 1st round and a defensive player if we wanted to. And we get an additional 3rd-round pick and another 1st-round pick next year. Now, who knows how well the Washington football team is going to do next season? I don't know. Maybe they won't be that good and we could get a high draft pick. But then when you have Derek Carr as your quarterback, you probably be middle of the pack or a playoff team. Now, the last team that they have is the New England Patriots. We know that the Cam Newton experience did not work out. The Cam Newton project did not work out for them last season. But I believe you put in Derek Carr on that team with that solid defense, they would make a run. And I know Bill Belichick wants to get his revenge on Tom Brady now that Tom Brady is in the Super Bowl. If you put a quarterback with high IQ like Derek Carr on that team, they could go places, and especially show Tom Brady that Bill Belichick doesn't need you. He just needs a solid quarterback, and Derek Carr could be that guy. Now, the Raiders would trade away Derek Carr and a 4th-round pick in this year's draft to receive the 15th overall pick, which is 2 spots higher than what we have this season, and another 1st-round pick in 2022, and they would receive Jarrett Stidham. Now, I don't know what I think about Jarrett Stidham. That's just an additional piece that they would throw in, but again, you get the 15th overall pick this year, another 1st-round pick next year, and Jarrett Stidham for Derek Carr in the 4th-round pick. I mean, it's okay, but again, we get a higher pick with the 15th overall pick. Now, there's another trade that was not in this article that I seen on Twitter, but I couldn't find it. There was a scenario where the Raiders traded away Derek Carr to the Carolina Panthers and return would get the 8th overall pick in this year's draft and a couple of picks. I believe it was a 2nd-round pick or maybe a 3rd-round pick. I don't know. But again, out of all these trade scenarios, the Raiders would get multiple 1st-round picks. So I want to ask you guys, Raider Nation, would you guys pull the trigger on any of these trade scenarios that I listed off right now, from the Texans, the Chicago Bears, the Colts, the Washington football team, the Patriots, or even the Panthers? Would you guys pull the trigger on any of the trades to get, you know, a king's ransom for Derek Carr? Or would you guys stay put with Derek Carr going into 2021? Let me know down in the comments below. This will actually be really interesting. Now, with all of the quarterback news on the side, let's talk about a potential wide receiver that could come and don the silver and black in 2021. Now, there are reports saying that the Raiders could possibly be interested in veteran wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, per Evan Massey, the same exact guy that said that the Raiders could be interested in trading for OBJ, which I didn't think made much sense. Now, this actually would make sense, especially if the Raiders cannot get a deal done with Nelson Aguilar, for 2 reasons. One, T.Y. Hilton would be that veteran wide receiver that the Raiders stated that they wanted in the offseason if they couldn't get the job done with Nelson Aguilar. 2, T.Y. Hilton would be much cheaper than Aguilar and some of these other top wide receivers in the market today. We're looking at like a 1-year, $6 million contract, or maybe a 2-year, $12 to $15 million contract to bring in T.Y. Hilton onto this team, which I think is a good deal for a former Pro Bowler. Now, I've been saying this over and over and over again in all of my videos, even though a lot of people want to go out and get the big names like Allen Robinson, Juju Smith, you know, Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin. all of those players would cost a lot of money to bring them over. Even though they would be a good addition to the team, they would cost a lot of money to spend on offense, which we should spend most of that money on the defensive side. Now, to me, I believe T.Y. Hilton is one of the most underrated wide receivers going into free agency. Now, that's if he hits the market and doesn't re-sign with the Colts. Now, I believe that he could come into this team and take over that Aguilar role that Aguilar played last season, and he would click with Derek Carr just like that. Now, an example that I always like going back on is that 2018 Pro Bowl where Derek Carr and T.Y. Hilton both played in, and Derek Carr connected with T.Y. Hilton on a beautiful pass that you see Derek Carr do this last season a lot of times with Nelson Aguilar. I'm gonna play the clip right here.
Offside by Bennett. Carr steps up, puts it downfield. T.Y. Hilton between Sherman and Smith for the touchdown.
Ooh-wee, that play got my neck and my back.
My neck and my back.
Now, could we possibly see that in Las Vegas? I would say 5 Mayock legs, believe it, ladies. Now, T.Y. Hilton hasn't been the same since that Pro Bowl season and since Andrew Luck retired, but I don't blame him. Other than a couple of injuries, he's had Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers throwing to him. Two quarterbacks that really can't get the job done. Now, you look at Derek Carr, I believe he could be that quarterback that could help resurrect T.Y. Hilton's career and bring him to a Pro Bowl season. Now, you look at what he did for Nelson Aguilar in this offense, sheesh, I can only imagine what he could do with T.Y. Hilton. Now, in 2020, T.Y. Hilton had a solid season with 56 receptions, 762 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I believe if we do bring him on, he would be a solid receiver for this team, and we wouldn't be disappointed. He could do a lot of things that Nelson Aguilar has done, and he could be that veteran wide receiver for young guys like Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards. Now, my biggest question to you guys, and I'm going to ask you guys this: if we do not sign Nelson Aguilar, would you guys go out and sign T.Y. Hilton, or is there another wide receiver that you guys would want to get in free agency? Let me know down in the comments below. All right, Raider Nation, that is all I have for you guys on this episode of Nation News. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It does a lot for this channel, it really does. But if you're a Raider fan and you have not subscribed already, what are you doing, man? If you love Raiders football, then hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button just to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this one. Until the next video, Raider Nation, this is your boy Samoa Raider, and your boy is yeah.
And you tell them one thing. Just win, baby.